With no victories on the board and fans demanding answers, Ferrari find themselves asking, what's really going wrong in Maranello? Is it the drivers struggling to deliver, the car falling short of expectations, or a deeper problem with leadership inside the team? It's not as simple as it sounds, so stick around, because the answers lie ahead. Lewis Hamilton may have kept his weekend at Monza relatively clean, but the shadow of Zandvoort still followed him in the form of a carried-over grid penalty. And now, he's been told in no uncertain terms, it's time to be a bit more professional, because those slip-ups are starting to add up. Before Formula One's summer break, Hamilton endured a miserable run with back-to-back struggles in Belgium and Hungary. At Spa, he was knocked out in both sprint quali and regular qualifying in Q1, though he salvaged 7th place in the race itself. Hungary wasn't much kinder, eliminated in Q2, sliding off track in a tussle with Max Verstappen, and ultimately finishing a lap down, well outside the points. Refreshed after the break, Hamilton returned with renewed energy, only to crash out of the Dutch Grand Prix after skating across the wet white lines at turn 3. To make matters worse, he learned post-race that a 5-place grid penalty awaited him for Monza, courtesy of failing to slow under double yellows on his reconnaissance lap at Zandvoort. At Ferrari's home race, Hamilton managed to put the car 5th in qualifying, but the penalty dropped him to 10th on the grid. He fought back to 6th at the flag. A respectable recovery, but far from the statement drive many hoped for. Former F1 driver Ralf Schumacher acknowledged the improved performance, but on Sky Deutschland's backstage Boxengasse, he issued a warning. Hamilton's mistakes aren't just costing him points. They could soon test the patience of Ferrari's famously passionate Tifosi. What I wanted to say is that Hamilton still has to be careful, because the speed wasn't that bad, you could say. The racetrack wasn't that challenging, but those mistakes at Zandvoort, 2 spins and then a penalty at the yellow flag before the start, P5. I have to be honest, he needs to be a bit more professional. With his experience, that really shouldn't happen to him, and he really has to be careful with things like that so that the fans continue to support him, because that could also annoy the Tifosi. Nevertheless, when everything goes right for Lewis Hamilton, he's fast. But I'd say spinning twice in Zandvoort, then crashing his car into the wall, and then that too, well, there was a bit too much going on that weekend, where you'd actually expect a bit more concentration from someone so experienced. Lewis Hamilton is still waiting for his first podium in Ferrari Red, and with 8 races left on the calendar, he sits 6th in the drivers' standings, 42 points adrift of teammate Charles Leclerc. Monza was never going to deliver a top 3 finish, not with Max Verstappen and the McLarens in a league of their own on pace. But Hamilton felt Ferrari let a chance slip through their fingers. The Briton argued that an undercut on George Russell could have netted him 5th place, telling the media afterwards, "I had a really good start. I had to lift just after the start because it was such a good start. And then I got kind of squeezed in between 2 cars. Other than that, I positioned the car really nicely, made my way forwards, and I think I could have got 5th today. I think I was 1.5 seconds behind George. We could have tried to undercut him. We missed that opportunity." Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur says it's only a matter of time before Lewis Hamilton climbs onto the podium in 2025, pointing to promising signs in the Briton's recent performances. Hamilton's maiden season in red has been a mixed bag. A stunning pole-to-flag sprint race victory in China provided a flash of the old magic, but the 7-time world champion has otherwise faced a tougher transition than expected after leaving the familiarity of Mercedes for Ferrari's very different environment. Before the summer break, Hamilton admitted frustration with his qualifying form. Though he remains a step behind teammate Charles Leclerc over a single lap and suffered a rare crash at Zandvoort, the 40-year-old has also begun to close the gap, showing he's edging closer to matching Leclerc on outright pace. Vasseur believes that surge in raw performance will soon translate into Hamilton's long-awaited Ferrari podium, telling reporters, yes, because he was able to fight with George Russell in Zandvoort, and he was able to come back from P10 to the gearbox of Russell in Monza. Russell was a couple of times on the podium. Yes, we can expect him to be on the podium. The Frenchman added that the outpouring of support from the Tifosi in both Maranello and Monza has only fueled Hamilton's momentum, but insists the turnaround was already underway well before the crowd's backing. Honestly, I think this started in Zandvoort last week, the Frenchman argued. It's difficult to say because the outcome of the weekend was not positive for him. But at the end of the day, the pace was better from the beginning compared to Charles. The mood was better. During the race, he was fighting with Russell until lap 30. That means that he was back in a better position. I think the energy that he received from the Tifosi on Wednesday and Thursday in Milan was something very special for him. I don't know what he was expecting from this, but it was something mega. And I think this gave him an extra boost all over the weekend. For sure, we had to serve the 5-place grid penalty. We knew from the beginning of the weekend that it was +5. It's not an easy one. But we came back behind Russell, and the pace was there from the first lap of FP1 to the last lap of the race. But is Ferrari's slump down to the car, or something deeper within the team? Former President Luca di Montezemolo believes the problem lies in leadership, lamenting that the Scuderia lacks a strong, determined soul. It's a bitter pill for fans who began the season with such high hopes. After finishing second to McLaren in last year's constructors' standings, Ferrari entered 2025 tipped as a genuine title contender, especially with the blockbuster arrival of 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton chasing his elusive 8th crown. Yet instead of mounting a championship challenge, Ferrari has faltered. McLaren has surged ahead, holding a commanding 337-point advantage in the constructors' race, while Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris fight among themselves for the driver's crown. By contrast, Charles Leclerc sits only 5th in the standings, and Hamilton trails him further down the order. Even so, the fans' loyalty hasn't wavered. Thousands poured into Milan for the drive to Monza celebration ahead of the Italian Grand Prix, only to watch Leclerc and Hamilton come home 4th and 6th in front of their adoring supporters. For Di Montezemolo, who presided over Ferrari's golden era of dominance with Michael Schumacher in the early 2000s, the contrast couldn't be clearer. Speaking to Sky Italia, he argued that Ferrari's decline stems not from machinery, but from a lack of the decisive leadership that once made them unbeatable. I saw the beautiful images of the fans, and then a team that, despite so many announcements on the eve of the race, has not won a single race to date. And even if it had won a race, Ferrari, after so many years, must win the World Championship. Ferrari has not even reached the last race for many years with a driver who can win. I hope that things will change, first of all for those people who were at Monza and who continue to have an unshakable faith. I think today's Ferrari has even more responsibility towards them. The thing I regret today is seeing a Ferrari that has no leader. There is no leadership, and above all, I see that it lacks a strong, determined soul. Announcements are made that often create excessive expectations. First, we do the results, and then we make the announcements. When you look at Ferrari's struggles, what do you think is holding them back the most? Hamilton and Leclerc, the car, or the people running the show? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take, and if you haven't, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the latest in Formula One. Thanks for watching.